Well, hey everyone, welcome to episode 64 of Relentless Talk Radio. The topic today is pause, breathe, cry if you must, and keep going. So I just want to kind of update you guys that have maybe listening for the first time. I was back in Vermont this past month, helping my father to transition from this planet to heaven. And so my Relentless Talk Radio schedule got a little askew because although I had guests planned, I was in Vermont with a slower internet connection. And so we were able to muscle through a couple times, but there's a couple times where I wasn't able to muscle through, and I had to be okay with that. So now I'm back in Arizona, and my father's in heaven, and I'm getting back into the swing of things. And although I had some guests lined up for this week, I hadn't had a chance to follow up with them just yet. And when they didn't get back to me right away, just being reminded that they had to come on the radio today, I made a decision to just fly solo today and not push it. And it made me really think about a couple things about the idea of pausing and breathing. And I just kind of went and looked on Pinterest, and there was a little flyer, like a little, marketing thing that said pause, breathe, cry if you must, and keep going. And I've really been thinking about that this week. I couldn't have said it better myself. And so I stole it and put it on my Facebook page. And I've been thinking about it all week. And, when I went to do my normal thing, which was scramble to find two people that could replace the folks that weren't getting back to me, I made a decision to pause for a second and share that with you guys, because I think it's really important. Relentless Talk Radio is really about sharing my process. It's not about looking polished, and it's not about having all the answers. And it certainly isn't about having arrived yet. It's about the relentless process of doing. And I decided to start sharing the process of how I do things many years ago when I started my consulting business, Fearlessly Deliver. And I started to do a project called The Art of Fearlessly Giving Back and The Art of Fearlessly Doing Business. When I started those two projects, I started to share my process online as I was painting. And I got some really great feedback about how people were really happy to hear me share, what I was going through, because it made them feel less alone. And I thought, well, why don't I do that more often? Why don't I actually start doing that more often? So I created Relentless Talk Radio that focuses on health and fitness, art and fashion, entrepreneurism, and philanthropy, and kind of shares my process. And also I talk with people about them sharing their process, the messy process, the part of, hey, I am a solopreneur. My dad was passing. I'm an only child. And so my schedule got askew, as it should, right? I should step away from my work and focus on my family during those times that are important. Those are the important moments. So I started to think about this idea of pausing, because those of you who know me know that I hate pausing. I just want to push ahead. But also, I think the older I've gotten, the more I realize how important pausing is. And so I just, as I do before I have these little kind of solo conversations with you, I Googled the idea of pausing, and the definition of pausing: when you're talking in a speech and you pause before you say something, it gives an opportunity for variety, understanding, and emphasis. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? And that the emphasis has the same effect as if you had a loud noise. So it looks like I'd blown something up in your face. It would have the same effect. It makes you stop and go, wait a minute, what is she about to say? And it gives you an opportunity to reflect. And so right before my dad passed, I did a yoga practice. And those of you who've been following me know that my hamstring's been torn. So everything's been a little off, right? My hamstring's a little off. My workout's a little off. And I knew my dad was sick, and I wasn't ready to get on the plane yet, but I was bracing myself. And one of the things that she said was about the art of allowing. And I thought, I didn't hear what she said before, or remember what she said before, or heard what she said afterwards. I just kind of stuck on that, the art of allowing. So I'm lying in Savasana, which is a corpse pose. You're on your back for those of you who don't do yoga. And I'm being still. And I'm just thinking, the art of allowing. Like, I'm going to have to allow whatever's going to happen with my dad to happen. I'm going to have to put my hands down and just let this experience just wash over me, because there is nothing I can do to stop my father from passing. And I got very reverent. I'm still very reverent about that idea. this idea of there are moments in your life where you have to just allow things to happen and then pause. And, in her book, Tara Brach's book, Radical Acceptance, she talks about that when you pause, you stop hiding, you stop running, and you have to trust in your natural intelligence and your wise heart. And I think that's so true because as I was sitting by my father's bedside in Vermont and I was pausing with him, I was pausing my life, and I was watching my dad take his last breaths, I thought, this is a moment that I have to pay attention. There's nothing more important right now than this moment and these moments with my dad and my mom and our family, and Terry Hershey in her book, The Power of Pause, says that while we're waiting for the perfect, we miss the ordinary. So here I am in Vermont, the state that I left, that I grew up in. I was privileged to grow up in. And I was around some ordinary moments, just apple pies and dishes that were being dropped off and the snow and just, it was a huge storm. I got on the plane just prior to the storm and I just missed the airport shutting down. If I had not got on the plane, I would have missed a lot of my dad's last lucid moments. And, this idea of how we complain about the snow, and I was able to kind of sit in the snow and have the wonder of an Afghan in my mom's and dad's living room, just being quiet with my father and the ordinariness of that. And also the hugeness of it, and how we push forward this idea about being relentless and my ambition and your ambition. If you're watching this, you might have a little bit of ambition and you're struggling to build a business or you're trying to make art or you're trying to push forward and be something, but there's such power in recognizing the ordinariness of moments. Just sitting with family and having a cup of coffee and just taking a moment to pause and notice the ordinariness of life and just how huge it is and what a privilege ordinary life is. That we don't have to achieve one flippin' thing, that just getting up every day and breathing and loving our family and our friends and paying attention to the magnificence of life is just so important. And so Brene Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection, in your guide to a whole life, she says that she would be constantly grabbing hold of the dig deep button. And I do that a lot. Like I'm digging deep with my art. I'm digging deep with my health and fitness business. I'm digging deep a lot and I'm reaching high and I'm thinking about how much money I'm going to give away. And I'm constantly digging deep and moving forward. And those of you who watch me go through one of my art projects or see me manage any project, start a business, close a business, I have a habit of digging in there and just getting stuff done. And my dad had that habit too, of really knowing what it was to dig in deep and make stuff happen. However, sometimes we can reach for that card a little too much and we miss the real bigs in life, which is, coming home to your partner and holding his hand and being able to have dinner with each other. And, friends of mine got together on Sunday. We went for a motorcycle ride. There was about 25 of us and just being together, some with massive income and some with no income. Just all of that stuff just falls away and you're in the wind for a moment. You can appreciate the hugeness of just putting aside the dig deep button and just pausing for a moment. And, this woman, Dr. Mara, talked about these books in the Huffington Post, and I really appreciate that. I love the Huff Post because there's a lot of heartfelt articles in that. And really both of these, all three of these authors are books I'm going to pick up and dig into a little more deeply because I think The Art of Pause and Radical Acceptance is very much about the art of allowing, just the accepting the unacceptable, and, I'm kind of going through helping my mom get set up for success moving forward and kind of going through and thinking, gee, there was some stuff that we could have done differently in setting up dad's bills so we didn't have to kind of switch things out after he was gone. And I thought, no, because he did not want to admit for a second he was going anywhere. And although he got us set up for success, he didn't do the last little bit, so we're doing that now. And it's a privilege to do that for him because my father was not giving up. He literally fought to his last breath. I mean, he just literally fought. So I was thinking about breathing. It's funny, this little article is talking about the breath. In yoga, we have this thing called Waiji breath, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but what you do is you breathe through your nose and you kind of restrict your breath in your throat. And you become aware of your breath by the vibration in your throat, but also that you're controlling it. The constriction of controlling your breath is a way to get you to pay attention to your breathing. And by doing that, you're actually activating your cerebral cortex. We're just breathing regularly. We're using part of our brain that's very primitive, that just kind of goes on autopilot. But when you become aware of your breath and you pay attention to it, you actually start to relax and balance your emotions, because that's what you can do with your cerebral cortex. So when you pause for a second, you notice the ordinariness around you, and then you pay attention to your breath, life gets very real. And it's one of the reasons, it's like one of the reasons, it's the primary reason why I practice yoga, because it forces me to breathe. And I've noticed over the past several months, especially while my hamstring has been injured, that I've not felt good breathing. Like I've been fighting it. I've been fighting staying present and just breathing, because I feel like I'm in a rush. I feel like I'm in a rush to get where I'm going. I feel like I'm in a rush to achieve my goals. I'm in a rush to get through the practice. I'm in a rush. And I'm really going to work on not doing that. Because even yesterday, I did my first yoga practice for the first time in a month, which is a really long time for me. I usually practice daily. So for me not to practice for a month is a really long time. And I realized, wow, I have been wasting a lot of time not paying attention. And I need to get back into that awareness of breathing. And, in yoga, the prana is your life force. And when you are paying attention to your breath, you're accessing that life force, and you're really paying attention to what really matters. Your breath helps you to calm down and regulate so you can deal with life. So pausing and noticing what's around you and breathing so you can get into your own skin, super important. And then, this idea, of course I took notes. I decided that I just have to get over the fact that my ability to prompt you speak has been diminished as I've aged. I need to have notes. I need to look at them. So the cry if you must part, this grief thing is just pungent. It is real. Okay. Grief is real. And, but it's also, I read this article, and of course I didn't write the lady's name down. I should have, but there's actually some benefits to crying. So first of all, is it soothes you. I don't know about you, but a good cry is a good idea. You ever notice that after you have a good cry, you just like, there's a book that, see, there you go. Impromptu speaking. Honey, dry your face. Honey, go wash your face. I can't remember Rachel. I can't remember her name right now, but basically it's talking about, just go have yourself a good cry and then wash your face and start again, and I think that, having that soothing cry, it allows you to release. But also when you cry, the second thing it talks about for benefit is that it allows other people to support you. So when my fellow family members all broke down at my dad's wake and throughout the process, it allowed me to pay attention to them and to soothe, to comfort them. When you cry, you give people the opportunity to let people see your feelings, let them be there for you. And there's a bonding in that. I think that's why wakes and funerals are so important, is that you allow the people in your life to let go of some of that stuff and soothe each other and release things. It's a pain reliever, because it releases oxytocin and endorphin, so it actually relieves pain, physical pain and emotional pain. It enhances your mood, because when you put that stuff into your bloodstream, your mood elevates. It releases toxins. It relieves stress. It aids in sleep. It makes sense. I mean, if you're crying and you're relaxing and you're letting the stress go, of course your sleep's going to get better. It fights bacteria in your eyes, so by flushing stuff out of your eyes, it's actually good for your eye to cry once in a while. So if you don't cry naturally, go see a sad movie. And it also improves your vision. And I thought about that, the idea that literally it physically improves your vision by lubricating your eye. But I also think that when you cry, and you admit that you cry, it improves your vision of life. I think that having a good cry is very important. And I'm very grateful to be able to be with my family, to be able to let go of some of that and allow them to do the same. So the last piece is the keep going, which is why I didn't fight that I had to, there's two guests that didn't get reminded soon enough by me. And so it's on their radar. I have them on a different time. But there's a point where after you've paused and you've breathed and you've cried, is that life has to move on. So next week, I have two guests that are lined up. I'll be checking in with them this week very early. Usually what I do is I check in with my lined up guests the moments after I finish the broadcast. So Robert Kelleher is a fellow health coach. He's part of a team that I'm on called the Syndicate. And we are all working towards kind of achieving certain goals with our health and fitness business by the time July rolls around. So I'm really looking forward to Robert because he's on his own health journey, and I'm interested in learning more about Robert and kind of sharing that with you. I'm really focusing this year on sharing the stories of people that are in the process of getting healthy, that aren't already at the end of their journey where they've lost the 100 pounds, the 50 pounds, the 20 pounds, they've climbed them out and they've done the thing, but actually in the process of what they're doing. I think it's super powerful to listen to people that are in process of growing their business, in process of getting healthy, in process of healing, in process of growing, that the journey is actually the destination. I think we focus too much on only talking with each other after we've achieved our goals. And that's just really silly because the goal is a very small part of it. You know, when I get to 12% body fat and I step on whatever stage I step on for a bikini competition, that's a day. Okay. But it takes months and months and months and an entire lifetime of training to get to that point where I can do that. So I can't just focus on the goal. And so the Relentless Talk Radio this year is really going to talk to people who are in process with their health and fitness goals. And Robert is one of those. And then Jennifer Severs, who is works at Aslivia Healthcare. I want to learn more about what she does for them from a marketing perspective. And then she has a group called the Motorcycle Princess. So she's like another multitasker. She's got a group that she runs on Facebook, and she's doing lots of really cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to talking with them next week. And thinking about this idea of keep going, that, using your pain as fuel. Have you ever heard people talk about that? I've had to really make a decision on how I'm going to process where I'm at with my business, where I'm at personally, losing my dad, and how I'm going to move forward. What kind of attitude am I going to have? And I've just made a decision that everything that's happened to me is just fuel for what's going to happen next, and things don't happen to me, they happen for me. And I've just made a decision that I'm going to just keep moving forward with my head up. And I realize I've made that decision over and over and over again. And that's why when I reached out to people and I said, hey, what should my radio show be called? There are several people that said it should be called Relentless, because I am relentless. I'm not going to stop until I get there. I'm just not. So here's some quotes to think about as I close. Life is a bicycle. To keep your balance, you keep moving. And that was said by Einstein. And the irony of that is my dad and mom owned bicycle shops for almost 20 years. And my dad was really, he was called the wizard in the bicycling industry. He was really an amazing bicyclist. And I think it's true. You slow down and you pause. It's like going to a stoplight or on your bike, and you might put your feet down for a couple seconds, but you keep on going. And that, I just love the analogy about keeping your balance. You have to keep your balance, you keep going on a bicycle. Another one is, if you're going through hell, keep going. That's Winston Churchill. Think about what that guy had to walk through. I mean, wow. I mean, how do you deal with who he was as a person, and then how people were perceiving him in England, and then dealing with the whole war thing that was happening? Just huge amount of stuff. And he's just saying, if you're going to go through hell, you've got to keep on going. And that's true. And the last one is, you just can't beat a person who doesn't give up. And, that's my story. I just don't give up. I just keep on going. And my dad was that kind of person too. And so I know that my dad is, here's his dog tag on my desk. Can you see that? My dad's dog tag. My dad is with me all the time. And he didn't put me here to fail, and he didn't put me here to stand still. He put me here to kind of be the example of what it looks like to be relentless. And so today I made a decision just to come on and talk about that. And moving forward, I've got a lineup this year. Super excited about the people that I've lined up. The rest of the year's schedule is pretty booked. I've got about 8 people that I want to scoop up before the end of the year to talk about health and fitness, and about 5 people that I'll be deciding on as far as the art and fashion part of things are going. And I'm super excited about my partnership with Vivana this year. They're a barter network, and I'll be interviewing several of their members. So I just keep on moving forward. I hope you are too. I'm getting back on track in every way, and getting back into my physical workout routine and my nutrition routine. I'm getting back to my routine with Relentless Talk Radio. I'm getting back to growing my business in every way, and I'm super excited about what's next. So I hope that whatever you're doing today in your world, if you're having like a rough time and you're having to pause and breathe, by forced life events, know that, that's a temporary moment in time, and you're just going to get back to it, just like I am. So that's it, everybody. It's episode 62. Pause, breathe, cry if you must, and keep going. I look forward to seeing you back here on Relentless Talk Radio at 2:30 to 3:30 Mountain Standard Time next week, where I'll be talking to Robert and Jennifer about how they relentlessly move forward in their life. So that's it, everybody. It's a wrap, episode 62. Take care.